Hi, fellow staycationers. Good to see you here with us today. I have a really fun fold called a triple floating diamond card that I want to show you today. It has a few extra folds, a few extra pieces, but I think you'll really enjoy the end result that it shows up as. So I'm going to give you all the dimensions as I go, show you what I'm using, and also everything will be in your tutorial that you get as well. So hopefully you'll have fun. You will try making one of these and share it with us. We would love to see what it turns out like. Every piece of designer paper is different, and you do use designer paper for this. You can use just the 12 by 12 basic white, which we still have, and do stamping on it, but I kind of like the fact of the designer paper doing all the work. So that's basically what I've done with it. So let's get started. Here we are, my designer paper to begin with. So as I said, I will give you dimensions as I go. Here I have two pieces that are 11 3/4 by 6, so they're not quite the full 12 by 12, but close to it. So a great way to use our designer paper up. And I'm going to score that at 5 7/8, which is in the center. We are going to do a couple other folds with it. So 5 3/4, this would be my 7/8. I'm going to score very gently because it's designer paper. And that will be all I need my scoreboard for. But I do like using the scoreboard on any of my projects. So I'll just go over the rest of the pieces that I have and the dimensions. We are going to need 3 4x4 in cardstock. We are going to need 3 3 3/4 by 3 3/4, and as you can probably guess, those are going to layer on each other. Then I'm going to use 2 3.5 by 3.5, so that will be another layer. And for that third one, I'm going to do my stamping and embossing on it. For the back of the card to write on, I'm going to have two pieces, 5 3/4 by 2 3/4, and for a little bit of interest, I am going to do a bit of stamping on that as well. So before we get started, I'll do the stamping. And because I'm using this paper, which has lots of gold in it, Symbols of Fortune paper, I am going to do gold embossing for my stamping. And this will be part of my card as well. So you might have guessed that this card is not going to be your normal size. It's going to be probably about 6 1/4 by 6 1/4. So we will be making an envelope as well. So let me get these pieces ready and we will do the stamping. And because it's called a triple floating diamond card, my greeting is going to want to be as a diamond shape. Because I'm doing embossing, I am going to use Versamark. I have one of our retired embossing buddies, and I'm just going to do a bit of stamping on the bottom of those. So to do heat embossing, we like to use Versamark. This is I do have two of these because the other one try not to bang the table. The other one that I have is really dirty looking, but it still works. And I'm going to use this set. I'll try to get it kind of centered. As well as, I should show you that. That's out of this set with lots of big words. I'm also going to use this little raindrop effect from that set And for that, I just want to random stamp on the edges of my cardstock. And then I will sprinkle that with gold embossing powder and melt it with the heat tool. So there will be a bit of noise, but any of you who have stamped for a while probably remember the first time that you ever used heat embossing. I certainly do, and it is still one of my most favoritist all-time techniques. So I like to keep my embossing powder in a tray like this so I can get at it easily. And once you've stamped with the Versamark, you can just sprinkle it like that, or you can take it like this, and it kind of does the same thing. If you have pieces that are where you don't want them, you can get a little paintbrush and brush them off. If flicking like I was doing here doesn't work exactly, I'm trying not to get my fingers, because my fingers will leave a little bit more right there, just because. I want that. And on this one, just a touch. And as you, there, I like that better. And on this one, as you've probably guessed, can't see me doing that, can you? No two of these will ever be the same, because even if you were using the Stamparatus, you couldn't end up getting them to be the same. I have this that I use for heat embossing. It's just a piece of the cardstock from the back of a DSP. I've covered it with tin foil, and I like to use the clip to hold it so I don't burn my fingers, and I can do it all at once kind of thing. So when you go to use the heat tool, our heat tool has two speeds, and for something like this I will use the highest speed, so it will be kind of noisy. Hold it in one place until you see it start melting, and that's the magic of heat embossing, and then just work your way around until it's all done. So I'm going to do that now. And I think it is. So that is our stamping. So now we just get to fold and create our diamond fold card. So I'll bring back in our base pieces, and these I'm going to fold. And you know, I've made, I think, about 4 or 5 of these cards, and no matter how hard I try, when I do the folding, it's not the right way and I have to fold it back again, but it's paper. You can do that with it. So look at this, I'll do one each way and then one of them will be right, won't it? So you do that, then you do this, And rather than try to measure it, it's easier to just meet up with the fold line from either side, like so. If you are using cardstock, and there you have your accordion fold, W fold, whatever you want to call it. If you're using cardstock, it will be a little sturdier to fold, but it would work the same way. So there is my folds. Now, next step, you do need your trimmer. Now I want mine to have that side out. So I want it to be like that. So with your trimmer, next thing you would do is bring it in, and this is 6 inches wide. So you put it in your trimmer at 3 inches and keep it straight. You're not going to do anything with your markers. I use a pencil, and just because it fits in between here, just mark the 3-inch mark. Turn it around and do the same thing on this end, and then we are going to do some cutting. Make sure it is in there straight. Then what you need to do is cut from that pencil mark to that fold on all sides. So you can, because our track is, if I could see the pencil mark, it would help. There it is. Back to there. And you just cut it off. You do the same the other way. And the same on the other end. I do have in the tutorial where I first saw this, and when I watched her video, she said she was going to save all these pieces and do something with them. I haven't quite figured out what to do with them yet, so I'm not sure I'm going to keep those, but they are kind of, whoa, careful. So you want to do that marking. And the other reason I use the pencil is that I will erase it if there's a mark, and I don't think it would show. That mark didn't work. Don't think it would show. There. Anyway, if you didn't erase it. So again, I'm marking, lining up from there to there. Cut those off. And there. On this side. And because you're working with angles, the other thing that I'll share with you is that when I found this, I thought, oh, it's not going to fit in a regular envelope. I'm going to resize it, so it does. I could not do it. As much as I'm a math person and I like math, I just could not get that to work. So we're going to make an envelope. So for my pieces now, we want to put these together. Then what's going to happen is these are going to go over, and we'll make our card. So I use just a touch of tape to hold that while I'm getting things ready. Okay, so it's going to end up folding like this, pieces on it. It's really, I really like this card. It's kind of neat how it all goes together. So I'm going to start with my black piece here, and it will give me a very skinny border. I'm using liquid glue so I can make sure it's lined up point to point. So that's my first one. Then my next one is going to go like this. So therefore, I only need glue on this part. And again, I'm using my points as my line-up piece. Then, got the same idea over here. So I will only need glue along here. Not too close to the edges because we don't want to have it spurting out if we can help it. And try to line up my... So can you see why I couldn't just adjust that size? Even that is off a little bit there. It's a little bit better. Okay, so basically that is your card. It will stand up like this. It will fold like this for putting in an envelope when we get it made. And you can decorate it. Now you can see why I had trouble figuring out which side I wanted where. So the next thing I'm going to do is take my designer paper and put it on... Nope, that's not right. I need this and then my designer paper on the two outside ones. And then this is where my greeting's going to go. So once you, like I say, once you get it figured out, it is really quite simple to put it together. And having the dimensions from that lady worked out really well. You can see if you were using something with directional paper, how it might not work quite as well. But because I'm using this side, these gold pieces, I don't think it really matters that they go in that little bit different direction. So again, I'm trying to see if I'm in the camera. There we go. And I chose my colors because of the DSP. You can see the colors in the background there. So that... Again, I don't think it really matters with that paper. And I am putting it all flat. I'm not using dimensionals on any of it because of the thickness already when you put all the layers together. So for that, and because I like to have the liquid glue so I can maneuver it a little bit, I think the black really makes it pop and stand out. And so there's our card. It does stand up. I know for a lot of you that's really important. And when you fold it, it's going to fold over like that and like that. So then, of course, you need somewhere to write. So that's what these pieces are for. And I will just attach them on the back. And the other thing I'll mention that I have seen, I did watch quite a few videos on this. And the other suggestion some had, of course, were to do the stamping if you were using cardstock. If you, I know there's lots of cardstock available, so you certainly could use cardstock. The other thing that some people have done is put different pieces in here to write on if you want more room. If you had a, maybe it was a card going to a somebody leaving a company or whatever, you might want more room to do your writing. So then it came to making the envelope, and it was like, okay, how do I get this envelope punch board? Most people don't have, so let's try and come up with something that you can use to get it done. So what I found was that the lady took and measured from corner to corner for a card, and this one is 8 1/4. Let's measure it this way and we'll make sure we can see it. Actually 8 1/2 would be a closer measurement, and add an inch. So for 9 1/2 inches, we can take this piece of paper, and if we cut a 9 1/2 inch square, it will make an envelope that will fit. So because our paper trimmer has the arm, I can measure 9 1/2 and 9 1/2, and this will be what I need to make an envelope to fit this. The next thing we would do is line it up on our grid so it's straight. Lay our card in the middle and basically fold it over. So I'm going to fold each side and top and bottom. And I think on this one, you could fold it right up to here, but I think I'm going to fold it. No, I'm going to need it up there to get it to close. Forget I said that. So you can use this side, or you could use the green side. Now that we have the fold marks, I would go in and burnish them. And I'm going to do a little bit of trimming. I'll show you that in a minute, to just make it fit a little bit easier. You will be able to see near these corners. You see that kind of a corner shape there. I'm just going to trim those out, which, if any of you had the envelope punch board that Stampin' Up! Used to sell, it has a punch included with it that does this kind of thing. But I like this idea that we can make our own envelopes, whatever size we need. And I really was pleased to find the figure out where I actually had it, because it isn't square when you're done with this card. It is 5 7/8 that way and 6 that way, so it's not quite square. So when you do this, just, well, you'd have to know how to put it in. I will use the tear and tape on that, mainly because it's going to need to be sturdy. Actually, I'm going to leave my card in there. So hopefully that makes sense. And don't go away, I do have some other samples in different colors that alternatives to show you. Okay, there, and then on this end, yeah, it's not quite straight, but you get the idea. And it will, when you go to mail it, you would do this last piece. I've done this with, if I have to send 6x6 designer paper, of course we don't have envelopes that hold that, so this is a way of doing that. So I'm going to peel this off and put this part of it together. And it's just a matter of laying it down, and I did that backwards because I've got glue right here. I happen to have so be aware of that. Do as I say, not as I do. Okay, got it. And that will be my envelope that way. My card. So hopefully you enjoyed that, and hopefully you will make some and share with us. So now let me show you. This is one I did with some stamping. I did Here For You Now and In Better Days Ahead, and then You Are Absolutely Amazing. I've got some ribbon, I've got a punched out heart, and again, it will stand up. And I did have more designer paper from that set, and it did the envelope. Then I did one with this paper, and I did some die cutting. Hello, best wishes, and happy birthday. So you can see designer paper, and because this one did not have colors all the way on the back, you could certainly do your writing without adding that extra piece. I guess I could leave that out. And then I did this one. Yes, this is Christmas paper I found, but I thought it was nice for an envelope. And this one has some of the new designer paper. It's done with white, but then put strips of designer paper. So there's lots of possibilities. I just love the design. I was tickled to find it. And the back of that one, because it is the white cardstock, did not need anything. It could have used some stamping. You could certainly put some other embellishments on there if you wanted. But that's my samples for you. So hopefully that has inspired you to create some of the same and share them with us. We would love to see what you make. Take care now.